I think it is important for people like you and me who represent a lot of things. We represent mother and daughter, difference in generations, women of color, women who had to fight to get enfranchised. It's really important for this little brown girl story to come out, partially because of what I understand the mechanism of the game to be, this business of being free.
Hi, my name is Cassidy Arkin. I'm a producer and a writer. I'm going to be interviewing my mother. We're doing a telephone interview today. She lives in California, I live in New York City, and we're going to talk about our project called Little Brown Girl, which is a book project and a film and a TV series in development. We're very excited to share this with you. It's about our journey to understand better who we are after living in a utopia.
I don't think the Little Brown Girl project is about Synanon so much as Synanon is a prism through which we see many people in the margins finding their identity and fighting for their place in America today. When I was growing up, my mom always told me the most exciting thing about life was discovering what you don't know. And I believed her. So my mother sent me to California for 3 weeks, hopefully to avoid getting back with my husband who had punched me. While I was there, I discovered UC Berkeley and decided to go to graduate school there. I had no idea what the free speech movement was, but when it happened, I connected. Even Synanon, I didn't know what was coming or what it really was about. I just liked the vibe. I liked the openness of it. 1965, my very first LSD trip that I took by myself was an amazing conversation between the white side of me and the black side of me. And in that conversation, I really resolved a lot of stuff about my identity. And one day I was taking LSD and I was sitting at Ludwig's fountain at Berkeley, and along came Cassidy's father, Ed Arkin. And he was talking to me, not realizing that I was hearing his words wholly differently since I was high. And one of the things he said was, "How would you like to go to the best party in San Francisco that doesn't use drugs and has no liquor?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "How would you like to play a game where you can say the absolute truth?" And I said, "Sure," thinking of something much more global. And he took me to Synanon that night, and I loved the people. And of course, I heard about the game, which I was still coming down from LSD and hearing was, this is a no-holds-bar. You can say whatever you like. You will discover truths about yourself and other people. And that's how I got started. The basic rule about the Synanon game is it's leaderless and you can say whatever you want.
Right.
The third rule is no violence. So if somebody gets really angry, they can't get up and come across this room and punch you. When I started playing the game, it was still mostly a catharsis mechanism for new dope fiends who were just getting off drugs and pretty angry. There wasn't really a lot of concept, but when the squares, the so-called responsible citizens of the community came in and played the game, we got more involved in issues. I discovered in the game that I could take on powerful people who had more money and more position than I did, and really yell at them, and it was effective. Like, if you're verbally quick, you can really make an impact. And I loved it. I felt completely freed by the game. Most of the people that I know really didn't enjoy the game because it's uncomfortable sitting in a room where people are shouting. It's chaotic. But for me, it was a way of me discovering what I really thought and having it be legitimized by people in the room hearing it. I was never able to say those things when I was in Minnesota, New York. It just couldn't happen.
So speaking, just talking about that and kind of like your individuality and coming into the community, obviously my experience of Synanon was being born in a place that I only knew was my first home. So many things were kind of at question as far as what that wide world was on the outside called America. And so I had never really been told about my parents' background. I just knew them as mom and dad, Ed and Sandy, but I didn't really know that they actually had families in the outside world. And I didn't know that they had, fought or struggled in the civil rights movement. So, Mom, did you ever think at any point that this society that you had decided you wanted to become a part of and you married my dad, that this was the place that for the rest of our lives, you and I would actually be living in.
When I moved into Synanon, I committed myself to the Synanon philosophy. I made a commitment for life. I wasn't 30 yet. I didn't really understand what the commitment was I was making, but I had no intention of ever leaving. My plan was to build a school, have my children in Synanon, raise my family there with all of my friends and their families, and we would live there happily ever after, building a whole new society. I had no idea what this really meant. The minute Cass was on this planet, there were some things that I wasn't willing to say for fear that members of the community would retaliate against her. I knew very well as a teacher that the children of parents that they did not respect shared a little of the disrespect that the teacher had for the children. So I pulled my punches a little bit.
There was a couple of other things that were happening from my era as a child, the shaving of the heads and, of course, the uniforms and the marching.
Well, that kicked up the public. I mean, they were saying, my God, they're a cult. Look, they all dress alike. It's a goddamn cult.
But we were a cult.
I don't think we technically were, because in a cult, you don't leave. And in Synanon, you could leave whenever you want. In fact, most people did.
But when we left, we plotted to leave. You quietly...
No, I planned it. Before I left Synanon, I took a job in a little town there called Pajaro Dunes. Mm-hmm. And I worked as a consultant for a drug rehab program on weekends. And I earned enough money so that we bought a car and we could pay rent on a place in Oakland. They knew what was going on. They didn't like it, but they couldn't stop me.
So when you decided that you wanted to leave, the deciding factor, was that the incident?
There was a line of things. It started with your father was working sort of second in command to the financial leader of Synanon. And he decided he wanted to move back to Tarzana and live in a Jewish community. He had married me really to sort of shock his parents. And so he left when you were 2 years old. And when he left, I wasn't treated as well as I had been. I didn't realize that I had social privilege because I was married to a big shot.
You were demoted, right?
They put me in a job as a maid in the San Francisco facility, and I cleaned the big shots apartments.
What were you doing before?
I was working in the school. I got hired in as a teacher.
And do you think they might have been doing that to separate you from me, to be closer?
They were trying to get me to split.
I always was looking at living outside of Synanon as this amazing place where there was like, we could wear earrings, we could eat anything we wanted, we could go out and like play, we didn't have to have so many restrictions. And then all of a sudden there was this, we moved to the outside, which I didn't really know we were moving so quickly. And it was like a dark day. It was nothing like the community that I was born to. There was not like that safe place where I had my, community of friends and we could play around and we could hang out. It was just a really cold world. And I remember the first maybe year, maybe 2 years, it was just us. It was kind of like being in an immigrant family. We were trying to find our root and our place in this new America. So I'm just wondering, did you respectfully think for myself when you moved to the outside, like think that, oh my God, this is going to be a hard transition?
I'm looking back and I'm wondering how I could have been so obtuse. None of us who had kids in Synanon thought about whether you wanted to be there or not. When we left Synanon, I didn't think whether or not you'd be missing Synanon. I thought you would see the world the way I saw it. Had no idea it was so hard on you.
Right.
And it wasn't until you started articulating it yourself. And this is what is the power of the Little Brown Girl Project, is because we're talking from completely different perspectives,
exactly,
different points of view about the same thing. And both are valid. And it was very, very hard on you. I know you missed them. The truth is, when I left Synanon, I missed them. And I probably was not as available to you as I should have been, and not as curious, asking you, how do you feel? What can I do? Basically, we sort of all crashed to earth at the same time.
Right.
You were as resilient. I really think you're a little piece of me. I remember running around Lake Chabot when you were 7 years old, and you insisted on doing it in your bare feet. So we ran 4 miles. So yeah, it was hard on you, but you rose to the occasion.